Welcome back to Matchday Live, an unfamiliar sight for Chelsea fans. A goalless draw at Stamford Bridge. Last time Chelsea played out a 0-0 draw was the final day of the 2018-19 season against Leicester under Maurizio Sarri. So Glenn, no one called that on Play Predictor out of us lot. I mean, if you're watching now and you called 0-0 on the fifth stand, get involved in the comments and Abby will get across it in a second. But yeah, didn't see that coming before kickoff, Glenn. But as the game sort of carried on, I suppose both teams won't be too disappointed with a point, will they?
No, and I think that's the way they both played. Obviously, got two fantastic sides that can both score goals, and it was kind of like at times where the first game in the group stage, no one wanted to get off to a bad start. So it's almost like they prefer to protect the draw and not lose as opposed to trying to win the game. Because there's many times when the attacking players are dropping so deep, even on both sides, where they just want to get touches on the ball, but they actually wasn't really interested in going forward and trying to create chances. So like I say, it's more like they was protecting themselves from not losing as opposed to trying to win.
Well, as a player, when you get into sort of the 70-minute mark, does it start to cross your mind, go, a point's not the worst thing in the world here? Or is that kind of not a mentality thing that you don't think about until the whistle's gone? You're always looking to get on the front foot and get a result.
No. In different moments of the games, you think differently, for sure. Because look, Chelsea can't win the Champions League tonight. It's all about getting to the next stage, to the next stage, and to the next stage. And sometimes you haven't always got to be the best team to do that. So it's just about managing certain situations. Like you take Chelsea's last game in the Premier League, for example. They're 2-0 up. Normally, Chelsea shut that game off and they win the game comfortably. But in vital moments of the game, they concede just before half-time. They go back in the lead and then they concede just at the end of the game. And that's not game management. Tonight, I think, was a more professional performance. Although it wasn't, great to watch, it was a professional game where they were solid. They looked like they could cause a threat, but they got a good result. I'd rather them push them a little bit more to try and get the win as I was at home. But it's not a bad result against a fantastic side. They got many, many games. They're going to get through the group. And like I say, you can't win the Champions League tonight. It's all about getting out of the group and then you worry about the next stage as it comes.
Abby, it finished all square in the other game between Rennes and Krasnodar, 1-1 there. So all four teams level on points they were at the start of the evening. What's the reaction been like from the fans on the fifth stand-up?
I think people are saying, there's definitely some positives to take away. Blaine saying, obviously, a clean sheet against a side like that is big progress for us. Shirley Kay saying big improvements defensively as well. Lots of people very happy about Hakim Ziyech's performance as well. Him coming from Moad and Nikel, Mari and more, just really happy with the way he played as well. So, yeah, lots of positives to take away. Not many glorious goals to watch, but we can be happy.
Pat, we all anticipated goals this evening. We were all wrong by quite a distance. What did you make of the game this evening? But yeah, exactly, Glenn.
To be fair, we played against a team that knows European football. Really intelligent team, clever organisation, good manager, and they know each other very well. Every single one of those players knew exactly where each other was and understood what they had to do as a group. Now, we're kind of learning that because, we had 6 guys there that kind of probably hadn't played with each other before, all new to some degree. Now, we were getting excited. I was getting excited before the game, the fact that, our front players are going to be brilliant together when they link up. The link-up didn't happen to anywhere near the level tonight. But that's things you need to learn in European football. If it was that easy, you could cruise in and anyone could win. It's not like that. They're a tough team. This could have been quite nightmarish tonight. We could have been walking away with a 1-0 defeat thinking, we're up against the 8-ball again. It's not that tonight. We've actually kept a clean sheet. And lots of the positives out there were, Thiago Silva, it was just lovely to watch him tonight. It's one of these guys where, Glenn, you'll know this yourself. Do you know the best defenders don't look as if they're doing anything? They really don't. You think, you find the position, you just calm down and get it. Always cruise through. Remember, Rio was a bit like that as well. And we've known a lot of players like that read the game so incredibly well. And watch them tonight. it was a joy to watch him tonight, to make sure that he looked never in. There was one point, I'm sure you all noticed, over that scoop down in the corner, and it was really close down the corner and scooped it over. You're supposed to do that when you're a number 10. And he was doing that, and it was the only way out of position. So it was good that he did that. He was playing the ball out nicely from the back, but he simply wasn't taking any chances. He was organising that defence. So, hey, that's a good thing. Now we need to just add the two things together, eh? Good defending and the attacking stuff up the other end. It'll be okay. Simple.
Well, Glenn, I think from that it's fairly easy to say that Pat was impressed with Thiago Silva tonight. Did anyone stand out for you tonight, mate?
Yeah, no, I agree with Pat. He was class. I think he was probably the main man in terms of how composed he was, and you could just tell he's comfortable at that level. And as Pat says, as a defender, people can say, oh, there's these stats guys that work in the office and they work by numbers, and apparently this guy don't make tackles. Well, when you're in the right position and you make interceptions, you don't need to make tackles. So it's all a bit of a nonsense. So how good players are when they're relaxed in certain situations. And we said at the start of the game, good players are so good on the ball that they can play elsewhere. So even if Thiago was to step in midfield, you can see how good he is on the ball. He could play there in certain games and against certain people. So, yeah, I think he was probably the standout performance. And like you guys say, it's fantastic to see him get a clean sheet finally against the top side. And yeah, I think for the front guys, you want to see them. If I'm the manager there, I'll be saying to them, look, get less touches of the ball, but stay in dangerous positions so that when you get the ball, you can be dangerous and hurt the opponents, as opposed to just coming and getting involved in the game. Because even as midfielders, you'd be saying, look, leave this to me. You go and do your job, and I'll do my job.
It seems really simple, doesn't it? When you and Pat are talking about how it's done. I mean, me and Abby are sat here just trying to soak everything up. Going, the way that they talk to Abby, it feels like now I might lace up. I might go out and see if I can get a game somewhere. Because
I'm thinking about it.
Well, you say that, Glenn. You won't be the first one to be added into a matchday squad this evening at all, would you? I'm sure we'll come on to that in the very near future, Abby. But the one thing that I noted down, and I noted this down at the weekend as well, and I'm sure I'll be noting this down a lot more, is a Ben Chilwell corner met by Kurt Zouma. That seems to be something that is happening again and again and again. And I tell you what, Kurt could be a double figures by the end of the season. Ben Chilwell keeps finding him. Yeah, it could be quite the winning combination. So, yeah, more of that, please. It feels like one of those as well where a night like tonight, Abby, and again, you just want to be in the ground, don't you? You want to be at Stamford Bridge and just try and sort of play your part, because a game like tonight, it felt like one of those that it was a professional performance. I think everyone's going to go home fairly sort of happy with a point, but just feel that 10% extra that the fans can give you, especially a special night at Stamford Bridge under the lights. It may have made that difference, mightn't it? Yeah, 100%. I think it was around the kind of 70-minute mark. People were getting tired. Our passing was getting a little bit sloppy. The crowd would have just really carried the team, but we'll be back in the stadiums at one point. Exactly. Pat, obviously, another good thing, I suppose, from this evening is the fact that it shouldn't be overlooked is minutes. The fact that we like you pointed out, there's players now that back five have played together, and potentially might be looking at that back five for the weekend. Manchester United, they got a good result in Paris tonight, a 2-1 win there. But that consistency of a back five, of a back seven, even if you wanted to put Kanté and Jorginho in that kind of in that cluster, that's as important as results. Is getting minutes together, getting that familiarity together, is it not? And it would be really nice if you could actually manage to keep it together, but I just don't know how that's going to happen. To be fair, watching Thiago Silva at the end of the game there, I don't know if he's going to be able to play every single game. In fact, he's not going to be able to play every single game for us. And there was a little bit of an injury really near the end there that, he was hobbling a little bit with. I hope he is fit for the weekend. But I mean, I'm looking at the players in front of him. Jorginho had a difficult time tonight. I'll be absolutely honest with you. It was difficult for him. He was closed down a bit and he wasn't allowed to play the game that he wants to play. Whereas Kovacic comes on and he looked at his best. So I think, you want to keep that security and that, everyone understanding each other's play. But you know what Frank's like? If you're the best player and you're training, he doesn't care. Doesn't care what your name is. He doesn't care where you come from. He doesn't care what age you are. He will play you if he thinks you're the best player for the moment.
And I think Franklin's got a few question marks for the weekend. Kovacic will be expecting themselves to be starting that game because he came on and done well for that wee period of time. And I was going to say, Aspie will be bashing down his door. Well, Aspie probably won't do that sort of thing. He doesn't need to. But Aspie will be thinking, well, wait a minute, I can add something as well. So, yeah, they played with each other together. But they're all still under pressure. They're all still getting pushed a little bit. I suspect Ben Chilwell, he'll be safe. I think the creativity he gets from that left-back position and the willingness to get forward, I think he's pretty much assured for that position for the moment.
Glenn, looking ahead to the weekend, then it's obviously a massive game against Manchester United away at Old Trafford. That they got a very good result, 2-1 win at Paris Saint-Germain tonight. Does it suit Chelsea a game like that at the weekend? Because Man United, you'd argue, are better when teams are open and expansive against them, but so are Chelsea.
It's kind of the same sort of answer as what you said at the start of this game in terms of thinking there'll be goals. So if you've got to spare £5, you might as well put it on 0-0. But you just don't know. It's look, United at the finish last season, probably the most exciting team to watch going forward. But then they go and get rolled over by average team compared to their standards. And unfortunately, Chelsea have done similar stuff. So it's one of those games where they're gonna show each other respect, but both have the class to punish each other. I just think over the whole picture of forget this weekend. I just think over the whole picture, I think Chelsea are just going the right way in terms of the average goals that they're scoring a game. 9 times out of 10, you're going to win football matches. And it's okay to concede. You're never going to play perfect and have clean sheets all the time. But as long as you're scoring goals, you're going to win games. And I just think that's the way they're going to go forward. And I think by keeping that, the diamond at the back in terms of, a holding midfielder, the keeper and 2 centre-halves, that's usually the core of your team. And if Chelsea keep with the ones that they've got at the moment, I think they're going to go forward and I reckon they're going to challenge. Not for the title, but I mean in terms of they're going to certainly shut the gap.
Abby, it's exciting, isn't it? And you always look at Man United on paper and like Glenn's saying, if you start to piece together results and you start to piece together performances and you're moving in the right direction, a game against Man United is one where you really go, yeah, we're good to go.
Yeah, you fancy it, yeah.
Yeah, exciting but terrifying. I mean, I'm excited now. On game day, I'll be like, but no, I feel like just the way we've been playing, wise, like we've got to be confident going into that game. There will be some goals. It won't be 0-0 again.
Oh, well, we all said that at the start of this evening, Abby, to be fair. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Again, like we're all saying, you build from something. If you don't concede goals, you don't lose games. So again, that's a nice place to be. Pat, I want to come on to this time next week when we'll be gearing up for the second Champions League game of our campaign against Krasnodar. Obviously, we've got a 1-1 draw at Rennes this evening. I suppose the fact that all 4 teams are now, still all square, means that it kind of starts next week. And I suppose if you're looking at it, Sevilla are probably going to be the toughest of the opponents. No disrespect to the other two, but they're probably the ones that you struggle with most. Is next week now, I don't want to say a must win, but is it important to get a result and get off the mark properly?
You don't go away from home in Europe and get easy games. It just kind of doesn't happen very often. So you're going to get a battle there. They'll be up for it. Krasnodar are not always in the Champions League, so they'll be up for the battle. And they'll be excited the fact that they've got a chance to take on Chelsea. I suspect it still might suit us. I've got real confidence and real belief in our players playing anywhere near the best. Problem is, slightly, we've got a big game against Manchester United. The games are coming thick and fast, and that's going to kind of hurt us a little bit. I mean, I'm not a bitter type of chap, and I don't hold grudges. But that 4-0 against Man United last season still hurts me. So I want us to make sure that we get something out of this game at the weekend first, and then that might take a little bit out of us, and that's when we might have to look at the squad a little bit more. So by the time Krasnodar comes, I'm looking for Callum. I'm looking for Tammy, maybe Olivier getting a few minutes on and get maybe more than a few minutes, maybe even starting that game so that they can give us a little bit of energy away from home. Because I suspect in those games, those teams will come excited, chasing us. They won't be as sophisticated, I don't think, as Seville. And that will give us an opportunity to play sometimes even on the break. And that's what Callum and certainly Tammy would like to do.
Lovely. Well, that is all from us this evening. Thank you very much for joining us. Post-match reaction will be available on the Fifth Stand a little bit later on tonight. You can see highlights of tonight's match on the Fifth Stand from midnight this evening as well. And Matchday Live will be back on Saturday, of course. Chelsea travel to Old Trafford to face Manchester United. We are live from 4:20 for all the build-up. And to celebrate Black History Month, there are a host of videos featuring some of the Blues' most iconic players available on the Fifth Stand right now. So one game down. If we go unbeaten for another 12 results, then we might end up lifting a trophy in Istanbul. Sounds easy when you say it like that. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? See you Saturday.